In today's video, we are going to discuss the 3 biggest mistakes I made when I switched over to the constraint-led approach. Welcome, as always, to My Tennis Coaching and mytenniscoaching.com. And yes, 4 years ago, thereabouts, I switched over from a traditional-based tennis coaching to a constraint-led approach. And at the start, I made a fair few mistakes, which I think is quite natural. And if you listen to the video podcast on Friday, I talk through the challenges and the barriers that I had when I first moved across from the methodologies. It just didn't happen overnight. It was actually a process that I still think's in development 4 years on. But here are the 3 biggest mistakes that I made. Number 1, I still focused on technique. So back in the day, when I switched over, I understood the idea of constraints. Okay, so you manipulate the player, the environment, or the task to get a more efficient or effective outcome. My biggest mistake I first made was it was an outcome that I wanted. So I would have in my head a clear technical framework of what I wanted the player to achieve. So it might have been I wanted the player to achieve a racket over the shoulder. Okay, so I'd manipulate a practice that really forced the player to finish over the shoulder. It might have been that I wanted a 90-degree elbow on serve, is another one that I did. I'd construct a practice, I use that word lightly, to get that to happen. And there's quite a lot of videos, especially if you go onto Instagram, really old posts, and there might be a few videos even on this YouTube channel of me doing some of this stuff. And it's probably more towards a low representative part of the funnel variability than it is the high part, or it's more towards a traditional approach than it is a CLA. And that's because I was so used to coaching technically. Again, you're not just going to switch your mindset overnight and go from being a very technical heavy coach to a, oh my God, ecological coach. It just doesn't work that way. There's going to still be a lot of beliefs and stuff that you hold quite tightly. And they're going to carry over when you start the transition. It's probably not the best word, but maybe it is the best word. So I still, even though I was constraining activities, I was still focused on the technique. Number 2, I was still doing lots of demonstrations. This follows on from number 1 because I, in my head, had a very clear technical framework that I wanted the players to achieve. I'd showed them it in a demo. And by showing them, it's telling them what to do. So it's still being very explicit. And I'm now just thinking back to quite a few of the mini red sessions that I did, and where would spend a lot of time showing the players how to perform the tasks. And that took away the creativity from the players because we were trying to get them or shoehorn them into our way of coaching. So again, quite difficult to let go of demonstrations because again, within coach education and as a coach educator, we promote demos all the time. And I've done videos on this before why I don't think demonstrations are actually a good idea. So that was hard for me to let go of as well because I was so used to doing it, and I was preaching demonstrations when I was doing coach qualifications. But the issue with demonstrations is you're showing a player a way to do it, and it might not be the right way. Again, you're also then taking away the creativity from the player. You're taking away the player's ability to look for opportunities for action, affordances. And yeah, I just spent too long doing demonstrations. And number 3, my biggest mistake was I cared what people thought. I really cared what people thought, and I'd see people watching my sessions and I would hear people over talking about my sessions, fellow coaches, and then I'd see fellow coaches on Instagram who worked with me and they would be looking at my stuff, and I knew for the fact that they were talking about it behind my back, and it really bothered me because it made me really insecure. Like, am I doing the right thing? Like, they obviously think I'm a bit of a joke. And I was quite a successful coach at that point anyway, doing a traditional way. And I was doing something completely opposite to them. And it really bothered me. And it stopped me really exploring things more. Because 1, I was scared of losing my job at that stage. Because I was working for someone. I wasn't as a head coach no more. I was scared of losing my job. I was scared of not being given players because they were seen as such a maverick. Just by doing, I reckon, 50% constraint-led stuff compared to 100% traditional stuff, like the people around me. I was still coaching in a different way. And that held me back. Now I literally don't care. I don't care what people think. I just coach in the best way I can. And whether or not that resonates with coaches, great. Whether or not coaches think it's a load of rubbish and like I don't know what I'm doing, that's fine as well, because it's just an opinion. And at the end of the day, as long as I'm happy with how I'm coaching and my players keep coming back and I'm seeing results in terms of when they play and they're happy, then that's fine. That's all I care about. I don't care about other people's opinions. I don't care what other coaches think. And I did a video on this a few weeks ago. More often than not, I think it's a place of insecurity. I also understand if I'm turning around and saying isolated practice is a load of rubbish, it's a waste of time. Getting players to serve on their own is a waste of time. And the coaches are doing that stuff. I understand why it upsets them. I understand why they get their back up a little bit and they want to challenge it. But they're the three biggest mistakes that I made at the start. I was still too technical. I was doing too many demonstrations and I cared what people thought. And I think now, as I record this video, I'm over all three things. I'm much happier, so are my players, and my lessons now are 100% better because I've stopped focusing on technique. I don't demonstrate. Very rarely do I demonstrate. And if I do demonstrate, it would generally be two players demonstrating. And I literally don't care what people think because I'm on a journey and I'm enjoying it and I find it fascinating, and that's all that matters. If you like this video, please leave a like and a comment down below. It really helps the algorithm. The good news is on YouTube, we're getting loads of new views, so thank you so much for the support. The bad news is the vast majority aren't subscribers, and that really hurts when YouTube pushes my content out. It's quite limited because it just look at how many people subscribe, like and comment. It looks for engagement. So the more you can engage with these videos, if you find them useful, the better it is for everyone involved. And watch the video on the screen now. And until tomorrow, I'll speak to you soon.